Abandoning paradise, a whole people forced from their homeland, the world's first climate change refugees. About 7,000 miles northwest of here, across the Pacific Ocean, you come to the Carteret Islands, a tiny remote chain home to little more than 2,000 people. People who have the unenviable claim to fame of being the world's first climate change refugee.
Set far out in the South Pacific, the Carteret Islands are the very definition of isolation. It took us 3 days of solid travelling just to get here. What we found was a people and a place virtually untouched by the outside world until now. This is a place where customs have been handed down through the generations and life is as simple as it was centuries ago. But it's all about to end, as these people become the world's first climate change refugees. The sea, which has sustained them down the centuries, is about to bring their idyllic way of life to an end. It's rising because of industries they've never known and gases they've never heard of. Now they're fishing where their homes once stood. Just a short while ago, this was the main path across the island of Huene. But just look at it now. The water rose and cut this place in half, and it's still rising. That is the level of the crisis that people here face. They've tried to erect defences, but piles of giant clamshells are no match for an ocean that's rising relentlessly.
But they have been, continued battered by ocean power.
Yeah.
That also in times of floods, it was carried away from its original places and destroyed, and almost all of it is gone.
Soon, the water will have swallowed these islands completely. This is where the islanders used to grow their crops. Now, it's a swamp. At high tide, it's deep underwater. Sharks and stingrays swim between these trees. At low tide, mosquitoes breed here, and they have brought disease. At the island's hospital, children lie on the sand floor. 5 or 6 arrive each day, all suffering from malaria. Delpin is just 2 months old. She has a fever. Her mother is worried. These are religious people. Every Sunday they gather for Mass, but no amount of praying can turn back the sea. The island's priest is preparing his congregation for an exodus. It's a prospect that breaks their hearts.
It frightens me, but no, we are helpless on this island. We don't know where to go.
I'm sailing away with tears in my eyes, these women sing. The song has been passed down the generations, but never have the lyrics rung so true.
To most people, the word Antarctica conjures up an icy wilderness, the coldest, windiest place on Earth. But it wasn't always like that. How do we know? Because there's coal here. And when this was laid down millions of years ago, there were forests here too. The ice has come and gone. Most of Antarctica's ice sheets lie on a plateau 4,000 meters high, fringed by mountain ranges. This is the true southern wilderness. A tight squeeze through the ice gave me a glimpse of that world. Down in a crevasse, Antarctica is a very different and very beautiful place, a cathedral in ice. But it's a beauty that carries a terrible message, because scientists now believe that even deeper than this, 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres down, the ice is on the move. In some of the remotest parts of Antarctica, the scientists have gone much, much deeper, drilling down to the very bottom of the ice sheets. The cores they bring up are made of ice that fell as snow hundreds of thousands of years ago. The Twin Otter carries the cores back to Rothera Base, the climatic history of the continent locked in ice.
Here they are, fresh, newly drilled ice cores.
Scientists can then analyse these ice cores for chemicals like carbon dioxide, the main cause of global warming.
Trapped in the ice, is tiny bubbles of the atmosphere. Now, this is the real actual atmosphere of the past. And we can take out the air from those bubbles, measure the levels of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, and see how it's been varying through time.
The analysis shows there have been 8 ice ages in Antarctic history, each followed by a big melt. And levels of carbon dioxide today suggest we're in for another.
In the last 100 years, we've put the same amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere as we'd expect the difference between an ice age and a warm period. That's a lot of carbon dioxide.
When it comes to global warming, Antarctica has been a slumbering giant. The message from the latest research is that now it's a giant awakened.
I think it's the most serious long-term threat that the planet faces, and that's why it's absolutely essential that we get an international agreement that binds in all the big countries that are emitting carbon, America, China, India, and make sure that we get an international agreement that allows us then to set a carbon price and to have everybody then round the world taking measures that are going to reduce our reliance on carbon and move to other forms of energy and develop new science and new technology that allow us to deal with this problem. But it's urgent, it's now, and as the recent report that Britain published and which was taken up right round the world, this is a situation where the economic cost to us, if we don't act, is far greater than the economic cost of acting. I think it's fair to say that the main international agreement, which was the Kyoto Agreement that was agreed some years ago, very much at Britain's insistence, we are going to meet those targets, and actually we're going to meet double it. Now, we then set ourselves even further more stretching targets, which we will come very close to hitting, and we're about one of the best examples anywhere in the world today of a country that's grown strongly economically but still managed to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. However, we have to do more, and in the next few weeks we'll be doing 2 things. First of all, trying to make sure that we get a further international agreement that really does, as I say, involve America, China, India, all the major countries. Because remember this, if we shut down all our emissions in Britain, all of them, I mean every single bit of our energy, then within 2 years the growth in China would eliminate the difference that we've made. So we need that international agreement, but we also need to take a lead from this country, and that's why we'll be introducing a climate change bill in the next few weeks that I think will get general support and will allow individuals also and companies and the country as a whole to take measures to reduce these harmful emissions. There are lots of things that individuals can do, and just to give you one example, if every household in Britain had 3 energy efficient light bulbs, you would save enough energy to account for all the street lighting in the UK. So there are lots of practical things you can do.
Through the melting ice of North Cove, we were taken by boatman Bernard Meehan, an Irishman who's plied these spectacular but treacherous waters for 2.5 years now. It's a place that takes the breath away, but here the beauty belies the danger. A real change is underway in this area of the Antarctic, and you get too near at your peril.
I think what strikes you when you've been here a few days is that the scientists are convinced that something odd is happening. I mean, to the untrained eye, you can see some of these icebergs are melting. You can feel, there we are, I mean, there we are, that gives you an idea of what it's like. That iceberg there has just deposited a huge amount of ice in the water, and that was very close to where we were, and it just shows that it's also quite dangerous to be in the Antarctic. But more evidence, if you believe it, of global warming. There we are. Look at this, Eugene, here.
It was a desperately close call, but collapses like this one are happening all the time now. Thousands of tons of ice are breaking from icebergs and glaciers every day here.
That's the closest I ever want to get. But, I mean, when you look at the icebergs, when you get close, you can see the water running off them. That is actually a visual sign for us of global warming. They're melting in front of your face. You just know in your bones that the place is warming up. You can hear it's an audible sound of warming, all this cracking and grinding. And we just have to live with it.
Of course, it all goes right to the heart of the issue. Is what we witnessed today normal summer melting, or is it, as some scientists increasingly believe, a sign of something much bigger going on? The answer to that will have implications that extend far beyond Antarctica.